you're different actually. He said, I can't explain it, and I knew you were different when I saw you. And he said, I get all these things through you. And I didn't know what he meant, of course, because I'm me, and I'm still me, and I'm still that same person. But the fear that I have actually, when I met this man, he was a Sheffield man, he was an only child, he was born to a mother and father. The mother was a silent movie pianist, and she sang to silent movies. His father he had a lovely tenor voice apparently, and his mum and dad used to sing together. And he used to work working men's clubs as a young man and sing there. He trained as a draftsman from school, but he then had to go into the RAF, as many people called up the National Service, and he was in the RAF, and he was a physical training instructor in the RAF, and he came out and he still sang in the RAF, and of course he used to do, I think, concerts in the RAF, and they used to always ask, you know, because they wanted him to sing, and so this wonderful man that I met had been through all these things himself, and then he came and found me, and we went off together, and then I realised after we couldn't do the third album. They told him that there wasn't going to be one, and he had been going in and out of depression a bit, but this sent him into quite a depression, to think that that they let him down on another album, and we'd worked hard, and he used to paint. He was doing oil paintings and things like that to earn a bit of money. He would have weeks and weeks indoors and not go out, and they would just go out, and it used to upset me, and I used to get really down and upset, and I couldn't seem to get him out of them. And friends would come round, and they would realise that he wasn't himself, and then suddenly he would come out of them, and he would be over the top somehow, and I would be, it almost leave me behind, and this wasn't like him, not to be so depressed and so down, and it got to the stage where he said, look, I think we've got to go. And I said, what do you mean? He said, look, I think we really should go. We should end it all. And I said, you mean kill ourselves? He said, well, it's not like killing yourself, is it? You know that, and I know that. You know you don't die. You know you go through. I said, yes, I know that, but we are not ready to go through yet. We're not called for. We're not ready to go through. If we were ready, we would just die. So he said, oh, well, okay, but I can't live in this world any longer. It's not a nice world. I shouldn't have come here. I don't like it. It's not, I can't deal with it. I shouldn't have come. So that was left. And then he would go out, and he wouldn't come out anymore, and he would stay in for like weeks on how he wouldn't go out. He wouldn't even dress. He had this Chinese silk cream dressing gown thing that he used to wear with the sleeves, and he'd have this on, and he would like meditate or do things in it, or he would sometimes do his artwork or whatever, but he was really down, and I could not lift him out of it, and friends would come round, and he wouldn't see them. He refused to see them. And so my nephew and niece, they always came to stay with us, and he liked them. He liked those children, and I mean, 16 years we were married, so those children, we used to do artwork with them, take them to the beach. We used to do all sorts of things with the children. Their mum and dad loved them to come to us. And this went on for most of their childhood and everything. And this week, they were with us staying at Felixstowe, and He didn't come to the beach with us. We'd always go to the beach. I'd take the children to the beach, and they couldn't understand what was wrong with him. And I was with the children, and he was wanting us to do what he said, to do it, to go. And the children were there, and I was so frightened that he was going to do it when the children were there. I mean, it was that serious. He was high, like I said, and he'd go low, very low. I went and slept with the children instead of sleeping with him. I slept with the children, and I put scissors in the door because I was that frightened, actually. So you can tell. I didn't know whether he'd put something in our drink or what he'd do. So he went off, and I was very, very down. I must tell you this at this time. I was so down, and if the children hadn't have been there, I don't think I'd have known what to have done. And my mother said, well, I think what I'd do is come back with me, with the children, and come and have some tea and things with me, and just come back, because he probably won't come back tonight and things, and you're not going to be here. And we come for the children, so you come back with us. And so I did. I said, yes, I think I will. I think I will come back, because I don't feel well at all. So I went back with her, and when I got back home, I did tell my mother what was happening, and she said, well, you're not going back there tonight, you're not going back there, you're staying here, and that's it. She said, no, that's something wrong, we'll have to say it, but I must tell you at this point, I did get him to the doctors, and he was seeing someone at this point, so I must tell you that I was trying to get him help. But the problem was, he came back that night and he did commit suicide. And he took an overdose of paracetamol, a lot. And a neighbour went in and found him, apparently, with the bottles and everything there. And they took him to hospital. And the police came to see me to say that they'd taken him to hospital. And they pumped him out. And the next day, he discharged himself, and he came out, and I never saw him anymore. And the next time, he went and did it in the car. And it wasn't only years and years later that I realised what had happened. But you must understand, I was very ill at this time myself. I was very down, and I'm very depressed. I think it was so traumatic for me in the end that I didn't really realise what I was in and how bad that I was. I realised after all those years, I came back home and I came round and I met a farmer. And so I sort of went back to my roots, if you like, went back to where I was. And then it's a whole new story from then. 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 Then it's a whole new story from then.